C'est le temps de l'amour, le temps des copains, de l'aventure. Quand le temps va et vient, on ne pense à rien, malgré ses blessures. Car le temps de l'amour, c'est long et c'est court, ça dure toujours, on s'en souvient. Hi everybody, welcome to episode 2 of the September Mix podcast. So this is a podcast mostly centered around knitting, yarn and just fibre arts in general, although I don't exclude talking about other things as time goes on. So my name is Claire, I live in the French-speaking part of Switzerland. I study psychology at university and I'm 22. So welcome here, welcome again. To begin with, I really wanted to thank everybody who watched the first episode, who subscribed, who liked the video, and mostly who commented on the video. That was such a lovely surprise. I really didn't think that people would actually watch the video. I thought that maybe 100 people would watch it, and I think right now it's close to 5,000 people and something like 450 subscribers and lots of comments. I really made a point to reply to every single comment, either liking it or replying something if I could add something to the conversation. So once again, I hope you're doing well. I don't know. It feels weird to record again. It's been over a month. I was on holidays in Europe. I did a little tour of Europe, which I'm going to talk about in this video. I was also surprised that some people were interested in that in my holidays. So it's been a nice time seeing all your comments. Some people watched the video from Estonia, a lot of people from the US, hi, Canada, Norway, Switzerland, which was quite funny because I think 2 people commented that they recognized the places where I filmed for the first episode, so that was quite fun. Some other people from the UK, Germany, and other countries that I can't name right now, but that was a lovely surprise. So today I'm going to talk to you about some yarn shops and some yarn acquisitions, as you may have seen in the title. Unfortunately, I haven't really had the chance to knit a lot because I didn't bring yarn with me. It was half of it was an interrail trip, half of it was just traveling around by bus, a little bit of plane. So I didn't bring my knitting needles and any yarn with me because it was all a backpacking trip. So yeah, on the way when I was in Norway, I purchased some yarn and purchased some needles because I really missed knitting. So yeah, I'm sorry that I can't really show you anything that I've knitted because I haven't really knit anything. I've knit like half a shawl on the train ride, which I'm going to show you in next episode, which hopefully won't be in as much time. So, I'm really not used to filming anymore. I feel like the last time I kind of got used to it towards the end, but obviously it was more than a month ago, so it feels really weird again. But yeah, so I thought instead of just waiting for 2 months before posting another episode, I was really enthusiastic about talking to you guys again. So I thought that I was just going to record a podcast like that about kind of my just purchasing yarn abroad, discovering new yarn brands, some tips and tricks, and like the prices and stuff I really had in mind for that goal, especially as a part of my trip was in Scandinavia, to buy some mostly local yarn and that I can't really find easily in Switzerland. I guess I could find all of them on internet, but it it's a different feel to just really feel the yarn in your hands before buying it. You can really see the color, which you can't always do in an online shop. So I have my little notes here. Sorry if I check sometimes to see if I haven't missed anything. So yeah, I hope this will interest you. If you're not in for the travel part of the video, I'm going to show some footage that I recorded during my trip at the end of the video, so if you're not interested in that, you can just close the video. That's no problem, and just like keep watching if you're interested in the yarn shop aspect of it. I've tried to record in some of the yarn shops, although that was a bit awkward and I felt a bit out of place. But yeah, that was quite fun. And the yarn haul part, I haven't really thought of what I wanted to knit with the yarns I purchased, but I mean, I'll see, and yeah, that might be fun. To begin with, I thought that I was going to tell you just a little bit about the organization of the trip. So which destinations I went to, kind of city by city, and I thought that I was going to add, when I edit, like very short little clips of the highlights of each place I went to. So you can have a little glimpse of that. As I said earlier, it's mostly going to be at the end of the video, so I thought probably that a lot of people aren't really interested in seeing footage of, even though there are beautiful places, but places, cities in Europe, or ooh, can't talk anymore. Also, I didn't go to a yarn shop in every single one of these places, mostly for a question of logistics. I couldn't really carry yarn around that easily, especially taking a plane with just a carry-on bag. And also some of these destinations didn't really have a lot of yarn, unlike Scandinavia, which I am going to focus on in this video, because obviously it's a region of yarn and beautiful sheepy wool. So yeah, I'm going to focus the majority of the footage at the end of the video, because I also thought that a lot of you might not really be interested in random footage of someone traveling in Europe, although I think it's those places were absolutely beautiful. So you can just like watch the yarn portion of the video and then click off if you're not interested. So yeah, the first destination I went to with my boyfriend was München, or Munich, I guess it's pronounced in English, in Germany. So in the, is it the Bavaria, how we say it in English? I know that in French it's Bavière. Also, one commenter, one of you guys, I can't remember your name, I'm sorry, said that they liked when I spoke in French because they could understand, which is understandable. So I thought whenever I have a little problem with English, I will say, I'm just going to keep that in. I think it's funny, it's authentic. I mean, yeah. Sometimes there's a little bit of struggle with a foreign language. So this part, I didn't go to any yarn shop, although I think it would have been a great place to go to a yarn shop. But yeah, it was the first destination of my trip, so not really possible. It was a beautiful city. The weather was so nice. We went to a lot of nice restaurants and just hung out around the city. We just stayed there for 2 nights, so there wasn't a lot of time there, but it was my second time in this city ever, so yeah, that was a really enjoyable part of the trip. The second destination was Croatia, so we went to Zagreb, Split, and Dubrovnik. My favorite of the 3 was Dubrovnik because it was just absolutely stunning, but Zagreb was really nice, the capital of the city, and I visited a museum which is called the broken relationship museum, and I really recommend it if you're ever in Zagreb. It's basically a museum about little trinkets or little symbols of a past relationship that failed for a reason, and it's really beautiful. I thought it was a really sweet museum and really touching, and a concept that we don't really see that often. Generally museums are all about art and stuff like that, and that was a really, you need to enjoy reading if you go there, because it's mostly about reading the stories, but it was really great. And there was a writing on the wall which said leave with a tender heart, and I thought it really represented the whole museum for me. Really, yeah, I thought it was a beautiful phrase and really true. The second destination in Croatia was Split. I liked it a little bit less. I was sick there. I always tend to be sick when I travel at some point. So yeah, but that was great, and we visited the Krka National Park. I'm just going to write it on the screen because honestly I can't really pronounce it correctly, which was absolutely beautiful. They had stunning, it's a waterfall national park, absolutely stunning. That was great. And the third destination, as I said, was Dubrovnik. We walked the city walls. They were quite expensive, but I would say it's worth the price. Absolutely stunning. We took a boat to go to the little Lokrum island, which is a natural reserve, I think. It was great. We just like swam in the sea. The weather was beautiful. It was really, really hot, but what can you expect in the middle of, well, July or August? So that was great. Then on my own, I went to Kotor in Montenegro and Budva later on. Kotor is a lovely little town with a kind of medieval city center, old town. It's beautiful. The whole area of the Kotor Bay is really, really stunning. I loved it. I went to a little city called Perast, which was nice. I'll insert a bit of footage here. And that was a great experience because it wasn't the first time I was traveling alone, but it had been a while with the whole pandemic and all of that. So yeah, that was a great experience. I got to go to a restaurant alone at lunch, which I had never really done. I had done it, but it was more like fast food places, which is a little bit more relaxed. So I was just reading next to the sea. It was awesome. And then Budva, which I didn't really like that much. I mean, it was nice, but it was a lot of partying going on. Now I realize that I said that I was going to tell you very quickly about my trip. I guess that's not happening. There's just too much detail that I want to tell you about, that I'm really enthusiastic about. So yeah, hopefully that's not too boring for you. Then I met with my boyfriend again in Budapest. That was it was what I was telling you about, all over the place. Kind of complicated to explain it to somebody, but oh well. I did go to a yarn shop in Budapest, didn't buy anything, but that was nice. It was my third time in Budapest. That's one of my favorite cities in Europe. It's absolutely stunning, very impressive. I cannot recommend Budapest enough, really. I think that's one of the probably 3 cities that you absolutely should visit in Europe if you're ever around. So the very first yarn shop I went to was in Budapest, as I was saying. It was called 101 Fonal. I don't know how to pronounce that. I googled it and it basically means 1,000, and 1 yarns, if I'm correct. So it was quite a medium-sized yarn shop. Not that much choice, a lot of acrylics, which I'm not the biggest fan of, so I was a little bit disappointed on that front. But there were some hand-dyed yarns which were beautiful. The prices were alright, I think. And yeah, there was also a lot of cotton, so if you enjoy knitting with cotton or acrylic and you're ever in Budapest, that might be a good option for you. So yeah, after Budapest we went to Prague for a couple of days, which was nice. Didn't go to any yarn shops. Yeah, Prague is always a good choice. I think it was absolutely crowded, but well, we were part of the crowd and it is to be expected in summer. So yeah. Also, after that, I took a plane to go to Scandinavia finally. So, my first destination was Norway and I went to Oslo. So, in Oslo, the city was beautiful. I was surprised about how much art there is everywhere in the city and everywhere in Norway that I've been to. I haven't visited much of Norway, obviously, but yeah, statues and just like street art, not like graffitis or things like that, but yeah, statues. And sorry, I had to open the window because it was beginning to be very, very warm in here. Sorry about the noise. I don't know if you could hear, but it was a plane. So, in Oslo, I did go to a few yarn shops. They're just everywhere, I felt like, compared to Switzerland, where, for example, you have to really look for a yarn shop. I guess it's really part of their culture. If you're from Scandinavia or a very cold country where you knit a lot, please do comment and tell me about your experience. If it was really taught to you from a young age, if it was very family, if your family was enthusiastic about it, I guess. Yeah, as I was saying, there are yarn shops, a lot of yarn shops, and what was most surprising to me is that there were yarn shops in malls, which was a new thing for me. So I did go to a little store that sold mostly. I also wrote like which brands they sold each time. I think that's kind of interesting in case I can ever go back to the video if you visit one of those countries and you want to know specifically which yarn brand they sell. That might come in handy because the websites don't always tell you what they do sell. So it was a lot of Sandnes Garn, Roma, a little bit of Drops. Also, Drops had a sale at that point, actually during my whole trip, so that was fun. I did buy a bit of Drops that I'm going to show later. There wasn't like a lot of choice because obviously it was a very little store. Also, I didn't say it, sorry, disorganized. And the store is called Strikkedilla. Don't know how to pronounce that again. But yeah, so there was a little sale section in front of the store and I did purchase a couple skeins of yarn, which I also filmed before the video like footage of the yarn close up, so I don't have to show it to you and struggle with the focus. So yeah, it's Tove maybe, from Sandnes Garn. Very enthusiastic because I've never knit with Sandnes Garn yarn. It was, as you can see, there's a little press. It was on sale, so I bought, each skein was about, I think, 20 Norwegian krona, which is about, I think, these days €2, $2, a bit more. $2.50, $3 maybe. So that was nice, and I also bought 5 stitch markers because I knew I wanted to knit a project whenever I would find a yarn. So I bought them for 2 krona each, which is like not a lot. I'll try to like write the conversions on the screen. I don't know if I think I'll write it in the currency of the country I'm talking about, and maybe in dollars or euros. I saw that a majority of the people who were watching the video last time were from the US. So not trying to be US centric. I'll see what I can do. So yeah, the yarn Sandnes Garn, I thought that I would maybe knit the Selbu mittens. I can't remember the name of the designer of the top of my head, but I'll write it here. And I saw on the pattern that you should be able to only use 2 skeins, so one of Tove, one I think I'm going to use the light one for the base and the darker one for the contrast color. So very enthusiastic about it. I knit one pair of mittens in the past, but never like those big Norwegian mittens. Sorry. So yeah. That's quite nice. Also, the shop owner was really nice. She was very sweet. The second yarn shop I went to is the Heimen Husfliden. Inside the GlasMagasinet mall, I guess. I think it's kind of a big store, maybe like Galerie Lafayette in France, Manor or something in Switzerland, and I don't really know the equivalents in the US, for example. Maybe Selfridges in the UK. So yeah, that was very surprising. They had a lot of choice. I'll insert some footage here. A lot of choice, a lot of Rauma yarn, Sandnes Garn, some Hillesvåg, which was surprising because I think it was the only place where I saw it sold, this brand sold. I really wanted to buy some, but it was quite expensive. The whole store was quite expensive. I say not over the top expensive, but a little out of my budget. So I didn't buy anything in terms of yarn. Oh, they also sold some House of Yarn, which is a Norwegian brand. Yeah, they didn't have sales, so I just bought this. Sorry. Just bought this, which is like the little, it looks like a Scooby-Doo thread that you can just put on your needles and try your garments on when you knit them. It was the first time that I ever saw that in a store. Sorry, I kind of threw the thing away. So I purchased that, and it was 55 krona. Which I will write the conversion for here. Alright, so just checking that the sound is still working, recording. I tried a new setup because I kind of struggle with the audio of the first podcast. I just used the audio from my camera, which I'm using here to record, and I had to tweak the audio a bit because it just wasn't really that good. So I thought that I would use a proper microphone that I do have, but I never used it for recording videos. I always recorded audio like music because I sing a little bit. By the way, the intro from the podcast is a cover from Le Temps de l'amour by Françoise Hardy that I sang a while ago because I wanted to, well, this YouTube channel is really a creative outlet for me, so I thought that I might as well use something that I've sung myself. I wanted to sing another one, but I don't really have time. I'm going to leave to go to the US. This is a summer of travels, definitely. This is a very intense summer, but while I'm still in uni, I'm trying to get all the traveling in that I can, especially with the pandemic where I couldn't go anywhere, as everyone, obviously. So I'm very fortunate to be able to do that. While I was in Oslo, I went by train to a little lovely city, which is called Fredrikstad. I have no idea how to talk in Norwegian. There it was basically the paradise of yarn. I came across 2 yarn shops completely without looking for them. Just a very in a very go-lucky way, which was amazing. If you're a knitter or a fiber artist in general and you just come across a yarn store by accident, really, it's really nice. So yeah, the first store I went to, which was in one of the main streets, is called Liers Husflid. It wasn't only a yarn store. They sold traditional clothing, but also some Sandnes garn and some Viking of Norway yarn. Hadn't seen Viking of Norway in Oslo, so I thought it was a brand that I had heard of. Good reviews, so I thought that I might as well try it. So the lady at the cashier was super nice, really. She let me look at the yarn for forever, and I finally chose the yarn that I wanted to purchase. There wasn't a lot of choice, as I was saying, because it wasn't mostly yarn, but it was nice, especially like being on the main street felt really great. So I bought there. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show everyone. Yeah, I think so. Maybe, barely. I bought 6 skeins of Viking of Norway wool. This is the Viking Garn Eco Highland wool. This is 100% wool. Highland wool, to be exact. It's quite soft, considering, like, if you've ever touched... I'm just going to put that on the floor. If you've ever touched some Letlopi or not Plotulopi, softer, but Alafoslopi by Istex, it's also 100% wool. Obviously, that's Icelandic, that's Norwegian, not this... not the same, but yeah, I was surprised that 100% Highland wool would be so soft, so that's nice. I bought 6 skeins, probably to make what is it called, a slip over, maybe by Petite Knit, I don't know. I just purchased 6 of them because I thought it would be enough for a slip over. I shall see, but yeah, I bought 6 skeins. They are 110 meters each, so I guess DK weight. And each of these skeins were 49 krona each for 50 grams, so not that expensive. That was nice, especially since one of the goals of my trip to Scandinavia was to find a local yarn that I could try. The second yarn shop, a little bit further away from the center, was called Husfliden Garn og Gaver. Once again, I'll write everything here so it's nice and clear. Also, I finally wrote the description box, I guess it's called, the information under the video in my last podcast. So if you have a question, you can directly go to the little info and see if there's the answer there, unless so you don't have to like rewatch the video to find the timestamp that contains the information that you need if you ever need it. So it was like a medium-sized shop with so much choice, really a lot of choice. It was some Rama, some Sandnes Garn, and other brands that I didn't necessarily know, so a lot of local yarns. There was some sales, which was nice. I did buy some yarn, and that's the yarn that I used to start my project on the road. The sales ladies were quite nice. The prices weren't especially high, which was always nice. But like it's in a lot of the places where I went to, the stores, the prices generally matched. So there wasn't like a shop that I visited which was exponentially cheaper than another one. So yeah, I think I did film a little bit inside, I'm not sure, in case I'll edit when I edit. So I bought some Rauma yarn. I bought 6 skeins. No, 4 or 5 skeins, sorry. Getting mixed up. So it's 100% superfine alpaca, and I'm making a shawl, which I'm going to show you hopefully in the next podcast. Yeah, so that's a great material to make a shawl, 100% alpaca, because it's very like drapey. So these were on sale. Again, there's a little cross here. These were on sale for 20 krona each, which is very cheap. About 2 francs, 2 euros these days. So yeah, and I also bought a Sandnes Garn needle. I didn't know they made needles. I don't know if that's naive of me. I just bought the needle. I didn't really need it. I have needles at home, but I wanted to knit and I hadn't brought a needle from my house. So I bought a 3mm needle to match the yarn to make my shawl, and it cost 75 krona. So yeah, now for a very exciting part of the video, still in the same town. Well, it's quite a big town, it's quite a big city to be honest, but compared to Oslo, it's not a capital. The third shop I went to that is called Garnhuset, so House of Yarn. It was huge. It was so great. I've never seen something like that. It was gigantic. They had so many brands, a lot of Sandnes Garn, also Vikings of Norway, and they sold drops, like all the drops yarns, every quality, I think. And as I was saying a little bit earlier, I think drops had a sale at that point. So yeah, you know where we're heading. They also sold some Rauma and other brands. It was a huge place, really. They had like a big bin of, I'm going to show you. I bought like a skein like that, and there's a little elastic. I didn't put it myself. It was like in the huge yarn bin with reduced price stuff, so you could really dig in and try to find like 2 of the same colors. I just bought that because I have a project in mind for in a long time, but I thought might as well purchase it. I don't know how much it cost. I'm going to like see on the receipt. So that was fun. That was really a lot of, yeah, the people also there were just really nice. It was a very affordable store, especially with all the drops. So that was really nice. Big sale section, not only in the big bin, but also outside of the store, and just very enthusiastic, lots of color, absolutely beautiful. A little walk from the city center, but they do have a free parking outside that you can use, so that's great. And also there was a very sweet moment, I think. I was the only person left in the store, and the 2 ladies who worked at the store, when I came out to pay, they were just knitting, both of them next to each other, just having a little chat, and I thought it was just like such a nice little moment. Like you own a store, you work at a store, and you just get to like knit whenever there aren't any clients who require help. So yeah, that was just really sweet. So I did buy there, as I told you, this some 100% alpaca by Drops. I bought this skein, which is some soft tweed. All the yarns that I bought were on sale because the sale was, I think, mostly on alpaca, and they all contain alpaca. So I bought this soft tweed to make a fall or autumn project, which I will show you hopefully in one of the next videos. And also some Flora yarn. I bought, I think, 6 or 7 skeins of them. Flora by Drops is my favorite Drops yarn. It's absolutely beautiful. I had already used this color to make a shawl with some mohair about a year ago, I think. And I just wore it over and over and over again during the whole winter, and I love the color, so I thought I might as well buy some more while it's on sale, because I don't... That's a future video I think that I'm going to make, definitely, but right now I realize that I have so much yarn. Even though I'm on a budget, just like buying yarn whenever it's on sale, whenever I have kind of a reason to buy yarn, ordering things from abroad, so enough so you don't have to pay shipping. You add some skeins because you think, well, especially if it's drops, it's only a few dollars, it's only a few euros more, not that much of a difference, and you end up with lots of yarn and not enough time to knit it all. So I'm going to start a no buy, well, not no buy, but no yarn buying period, I think, in order to get rid of, well, not get rid, but actually knit through my stash, because it's becoming ridiculous. I have way too much. So yeah, that's a video that I'm going to make in the future. I think there's a lot of interesting reflection that can be made. So, the next place I went to during my trip was Göteborg, or I think it's Gothenburg in English, in Sweden. Had been prior to Stockholm a few years ago, but I have to say that I think I almost like Göteborg a little more than Stockholm. It was beautiful. The weather was a bit more complicated, but I think in Scandinavia it can be quite well. In Göteborg, I went to 3 stores. The first one is Panduro. It's basically a craft store, so not focused on yarn, but they did have a few skeins, a lot of acrylic, but also some 100% natural wool and other materials. It really wasn't that expensive, which was great. And there were sales. I wrote the whole thing, like all the details, whenever I would go to a store, come out and just like grab my phone, write the details so I don't forget about them, and I can tell you everything. So yeah, but I didn't buy anything. I wasn't really inspired. But it's great to know that they have some craft stores, I guess. In the US, there's like Michael's and like big stores, chains. Panduro is also a chain store, but yeah, on a obviously smaller level. But it's nice to know that they do have some yarn. The second store I went to is called Deisy Design. So they sold, I think, the majority of what they sold, was drops. But also some other brands like Fonty and smaller brands that I didn't write them down and I don't remember them, but like smaller brands, which was nice. The store is medium to small, I guess. I didn't buy anything, wasn't really inspired, because like most of why is that I went to the store that I told you about in Fredrikstad in Norway prior, so I didn't really want to buy some other yarn, especially drops. So yeah. Then the third shop I went to is called Selfmade. So I went there in Gothenburg, but they also have stores in Copenhagen. So it's a chain. It's a huge store of fiber arts, so they sell lots and lots and lots of fabric, they sell some buttons, they sell sewing stuff, but they also do have their own brand of yarn, which is called Freja. Sorry, just right behind me I have one of the skeins that I bought. Freja. So they all have different names, and they do have acrylic, yarn, but also natural fiber. This is 100% wool, and I needed a fingering weight yarn to make the how's it called again? Pure mesh pullover by James N. Watts that I told you about in the previous episode, because I noticed that it was lace weight and not fingering weight that I needed, so I'm not going to be able to make it in the drops yarn, I think, that I had shown you. So they had a lot of choice, and it's quite nice to know that they only sell this brand in those stores. So yeah, the people working there unfortunately weren't especially nice, but I mean, I'm sure it's not the case for all of the stores. Probably I just got a little bit unlucky. But yeah, I also bought some buttons, which I'm going to show you right now. I was looking frantically, I must admit, for buttons for my cardigan. My how's it called? Not bubble cardigan? I can't remember. By Petite Knit that I showed you in the previous episode. I was looking for like big wooden buttons, but I didn't really find any that I liked enough. But these buttons, I don't know what I could use them for, but I just thought they were so pretty, so I got them. The buttons were, for 6 buttons, it was 23 krona, which is really cheap. It's about, I don't know, $2 or something like that. And the skeins, so it's 50 grams per skein, lace weight 350 meters, and I paid for each skein 42 krona, which is quite an affordable price. Alright, so then I went to Copenhagen. Didn't go to any yarn store. I think I was starting to burn out a little bit on the yarn stores, even though it's always lots of fun, but like at this point half of my big backpack was taking it was just, everything was taken over by yarn, so didn't go to any store. But I did go to a little town called Roskilde in Denmark, close to Copenhagen, which was absolutely lovely. They had a big cathedral. There was an event happening. I don't know. I asked a woman on the street what was happening. She also didn't know. But they have a little harbor, really nice architecture, kind of an old town vibe. I really liked that outing. It was really nice. And on the street, it was a Sunday, so it was unfortunately closed. But they did have a Hobbii store, which I think is a Danish brand. So really unfortunate, because I did not know they had physical stores, but since then I googled it, and they have stores in Denmark and also in Germany, and one in Hamburg, but I didn't go to it because I didn't know at the time. I also went to Hamburg later on during my trip, so yeah, I didn't go to Hobbii, but I thought I'd mention it in case you're ever in Copenhagen and willing to take the train. So when I was in Copenhagen, I did take a full day to go to Malmö and Lund, which are in Sweden, and you just basically cross a huge bridge to get there. It's about half an hour by train, so really close, and just it's a whole experience to take that big train and suddenly you're in another country, so really fun. Malmö was a lovely city with a big, like, kind of a strange architecture for a castle, but that was fun. And yeah, like parks and a lot of nature. It was really nice. I really liked it. So I didn't go to a yarn store in Malmö, but about 10 to 15 minutes from Malmö by train is a little town, very cute little town called Lund, still in Sweden. And I did go to a store called Tante Hulda. I don't know if it... Tante, like tante, means aunt in French, so I don't know if it means the same, maybe. Haven't googled it. And there the salesperson was adorable. She was really nice. She was really young woman, super just helpful. They had quite a big choice of yarn. They also had their own yarn brand, which is called Tante Hulda, and also some clothes, like fabric clothes, not knitted clothes. And they sold some kremke wool, a little bit of Vistex, some retrosaria Rosa Pomar, which is a Portuguese brand of yarn that I haven't tried. It was quite expensive. The store as a whole was quite expensive. So I didn't buy anything, but it was quite nice. And I filmed a little bit, which it was nice to go to a little yarn shop in the center of this little cute town. So we're almost reaching the end of the whole yarn trip, I guess we could call it. So my last destination was Hamburg in Germany. And by the time I reached this point of my trip, I was very, very tired, traveling for more than a month straight, especially when I was for the parts. Like, I was alone in Montenegro, and then I was alone throughout Scandinavia and then Germany. So sleeping in hostel dorms can be quite tiring, because obviously you always have to share space, you can't really sleep that well. But it was a great experience. I met some lovely people. But yeah, at this point I was really tired. I really struggled to visit everything I wanted to visit, and I did not have the energy to go to every single little yarn shop that Google was telling me were great. So I went to one that I really was enthusiastic about. It's called the Hamburger Wollfabrik, and it's a whole concept. Once again, I had never seen that. It was great. It's just like yarn produced in their fabric, like Wollfabrik, fabric of wool. And they sold, wait, I'm going to grab a few cones. Like cones like that. I asked the woman, I think responsible for the store, to just explain how it works, because it is absolutely huge. I'll insert some footage. It is an enormous place. With at the beginning, at the entrance, you have a lot of cotton, then you have some wool, then you have some alpaca and lots of different fibers. You also have a lot of acrylic choice and extra fine merino, and just so much choice and so many combinations of different fibers. And she explained to me that on the right hand side, on the big shelves, you had like cones like that, but only with one strand of wool. So if you can see, I'll insert the footage, but basically this one, for example, is 5 little strands of wool. So they're not, how's it called in English? They're not twisted. They're not twisted. They're just put together, I guess. So I was I'm kind of curious of how it knits up. I did knit up a little test swatch that I'm going to show you right now. It's not a proper gauge swatch at all. I was just curious of what it looked like knitted up, and I think it can be quite solid. A few of the cones, it was written that you shouldn't knit them in stockinette because it wouldn't hold up correctly, I guess, but you can knit them in moss stitch, or like perle was okay. I'm not sure, but yeah, it was really interesting. So all the right hand side on the big shelves was cones with one strand of wool, and if you bought for 200 grams upwards, or 50 grams if you were a student, they would make a cone for you with whichever amount of yarn that you wanted to purchase, and you could basically ask for however many strands to be like put in the cone. So you could just say, oh, I want to knit this in lace weight, so it would be 2 to 3 strands, probably 3 strands. Or you could say, oh, I want it in bulky weight, so it would be 7 strands or more. And it was really interesting. I had never heard about a system like that. So that was great. And on the left hand side, it was big bins with already, like I purchased, cones with already a number of little strands, so you did not have to ask them to wind it for you. So yeah, that was really interesting. I had never heard of that. There was so much choice. It was really affordable. The woman I spoke to was really nice. She could speak very good English, which is great because my German is very rusty, although I do live in Switzerland. But yeah, I bought one cone of 100% wool, which was only €1.90 per 50 grams. So you would just like choose a cone. For example, these cones I bought already, I guess, winded up, you could say, and you could weigh them yourself on little scales, and when you go at the cashier, they just weigh it again for you, and you pay by however many grams you purchased, which is really interesting. I guess if you're not a student and you're required, I think, to buy a minimum of 200 grams, it's not maybe the best place to go to buy little quantities of wool, although I think they might be very accommodating and very nice and understanding. So yeah, I bought one cone of 100% wool it was really affordable. 2 cones, one of them is this one and the other one is there, but I don't really want to stand up and go fetch it. So it is 90% wool and 10% nylon, or also called polyamide. So it's not really some sock wool. They had a lot of choice of sock wool and a few skeins, like actual balls of yarns that were already well prepared, I guess. Didn't buy any of those. So yeah, I don't know if it's superwash. I completely forgot to ask. I think it does look a little superwash, but honestly, I'm not sure. So I will just have to knit a gauge swatch and wash it to like see if it stretches or not. But yeah, I was really curious. 2 cones of 90% wool, 10% nylon, which were €2 by 50 grams. 1 cone of beautiful fiber. It is 70% merino, 10% cashmere, 10% silk, and 10% angora for €5.90 per 50 grams, which is very reasonable considering the type of material it is made of. So I bought this little cone. It's that one. Absolutely stunning color. I just love it, and yeah, beautiful. And the last cone I bought is 69% mohair, 20% wool, and 11% nylon for €3.50. €3.50, sorry, by 50 grams, which is very affordable considering it's a lot of mohair, and generally mohair is sold by 25 grams and way more expensive than that. So incredible price, although it does contain a little bit of nylon, but that's not really a problem for me. I bought it in this beautiful forest green color. I already have a cone of horse garn in that color, so I thought, well, might as well buy it so I can knit myself a nice jumper or something along those lines with that fiber. So it looks like we are done. I hope this format of video was entertaining for you. I must say I'm a little bit worried that it's too personal because it's about my trip, and even though like I think the footage, the places I went to are beautiful, might not be interesting for you. So tell me in the comments if you found it entertaining. If you have any advice, it's always welcome. As long as you're nice, please be nice. But yeah, I think it was a very nice video to film. It did take a lot of organization to get everything in place, but yeah, I think I like it, so I hope the editing will go smoothly. And do tell me how much, if you think it is interesting to know a little bit more about my personal life and not only focus solely on knitting, although this is mostly a knitting channel. So yeah. So yeah, in the future, in exactly 2 days, I'm leaving to go to the US on my own. It was a big challenge that I set for myself a long time ago, that I wanted to go for the first time solo traveling outside of Europe in a foreign, well, really foreign environment, meaning another continent. I was already in New York when I was a child with my mum at the time, but yeah, I'm going back New York City and then a little bit of Boston and then back to New York City. Maybe I might visit a few yarn shops along the way. I'll tell you about it in the next podcast, and I will take my knitting to knit on the plane. I googled if it was alright to take knitting needles, so hopefully, finger crossed, it matches what is said on the different websites. Should be alright, so yeah, I hope everything will go smoothly. So yeah, next episode hopefully will be a classical knitting podcast episode showing you what I'm working on, what I've finished, and my maybe future knitting plans, and I'll probably tell you a little bit about my US trip. So, I also wanted to say that I started thinking a little bit about what direction I wanted to take this channel. Obviously, I love knitting podcasts, like classical ones, as I just said. I watch them a lot on YouTube, so I'll definitely do that in the future. But also I was thinking about doing some kind of theme episode, so if you would like to learn about anything in particular regarding knitting, regarding fiber arts, or other things, maybe in psychology. Somebody asked that I talk a little bit about my studies, so maybe that might be interesting to some of you. Please tell me in the comments. Once again, thank you so much for everybody who I interacted with on the previous episode, everybody who subscribed. It was surreal seeing the numbers just add up and all the lovely comments by everyone, and just seeing people from all different places and walks of life just interacting with each other sometimes was really nice. So thank you again, at the risk of becoming a little bit repetitive. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely rest of the day or a lovely evening, and see you in about a month, I think. Bye.